Are there any other experiences that just like stood out to you, or one that was just like, whew, never this again?
I mean, 90% of my dates are bad. But there's some that are worse than others. Like, there's some that are worse than others.
3, 2, 1.
Hello, and welcome to Situaseans podcast. I'm your host, Sean Michael Williams, aka seanydoo. You can call me Sean. Seanydoo. Does not matter to me. I'm just glad that y'all are here and have a special guest here, Jessica Molly. She is glad that you are here.
Hi.
Thanks so much for coming on to the show, Jessica.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm
Absolutely.
excited.
Yes. I'm so excited to jump in. But before we jump in, I want to let you all know, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. Like we're going strong, we're in late April, we're just chugging on along. This podcast is about dating, relationships, mental and emotional life experiences. Ooh, fucking we go through so much, and dating is crazy, isn't it?
It's so crazy.
This entire, I just feel like, it doesn't matter where you live or where you're from or whatever you you've been through. It just seems like at some point we all come across some unhinged moment in dating and just life, right? Yeah.
LA definitely is the worst, but other places pretty bad.
Yeah, exactly. So I want you all to subscribe to the patreon.com/Situaseans podcast, get all the exclusive content, all the behind the scenes stuff. And then, we're going to be doing some promo codes over there too for the Go All the Way to the Fuck Off t-shirt and all that other stuff. And speaking of Go All the Way to Fuck Off, get your Go All the Way to Fuck Off t-shirts. You'll see it pop up right here. Go to situationspodcast.com, click on the merch tab. All right. So get your shirt and rock that shit. So today we're going to be talking about, funny and unhinged stories. And Jessica has some funny, hilarious stories that she's going to be sharing with us. And then we're going to be unpacking some hinged and unhinged dating app prompts and stuff like that you all have been submitting to the show. So thanks for submitting that. But so kind of to turn it over to you, tell us all about who you are, what you do, and where you are in life.
So my name is Jessica. Originally from Boston, came out to LA to go to UCLA, go Bruins. Originally a dancer turned actress and also writer. Right now, I am trying to work on my own projects that have kind of just been on the back burner, and I'm just trying to kind of make them come to life. But always auditioning, always trying to do whatever acting and other projects that I'm able to, and really just continuing to explore my passion. And just, I think that's a huge part of living in LA, is that even if you're not working, you're still working, or you're still trying to work towards something.
Absolutely. And in the, I've had a couple of guests on previously, and one thing that I would share with them, and, you can let me know if your opinion is different here, but I've shared with my previous guests that, people in LA are somewhat don't want to date because we're all trying to focus on our, content creator careers. Is that true? Would you say that that's somewhat true, or you're like, nah?
I think to a degree, yes, but it's so funny because every time I match with an actor, which I try not to, because I have this whole thing where I don't like to shit where I eat. Mm-hmm. So that to me, it's like, okay, I don't want to date someone who I could potentially work on a project with. Like, I don't want to cross that line, because then that's where things creatively, I think, gets messy. And I have friends that are actors, and, they date each other, and they kind of use that to create their own projects. And, they'll go on auditions together as couples. It's super cute. I have friends who are couples, they've booked commercials together. So I feel like sometimes people kind of use you. Yeah. And that's what I've realized too, lately when I've been matching with actors, what are you working on right now? If they find your writer or a producer, they'll be like, do you by any chance have something for like a 35 Caucasian male? Yeah. And I'm just like, I do, but I like, you know,
it's like, I don't even know you. Exactly.
So I think it just really depends. Like, I think people will use other people to get ahead. And I've realized that a lot of like dating apps, like people are now posting like their Instagrams and their IMDb's in their biography because they're trying to like build up their Instagram following. And that's what I've noticed. I'm like, okay, immediate left swipe if your Instagram is on there because you obviously don't want a relationship. You just want followers. Like,
right. Yep.
And you just are trying to make yourself more famous. So I think that maybe that's like people not wanting relationships. Maybe it's just people being on the apps for that reason. And then I think that when they do want relationships, it's not because they want something romantic per se. It's because they're like, I'm going to be with you and like create like whatever you are able to offer me creatively.
Yeah. And it just puts a damper on things because it's like, man, I don't even want to date anybody because everybody's just here for a come up.
Yeah. No, it makes it, I think that's why in LA too, it makes it a lot harder because like you're going on these dating apps and you're seeing people that you can tell like they don't want a relationship. They're just trying to publicize themselves and you're having to spend that much extra time trying to filter those people out.
Right. Yeah. That's a good point. Point. Of all the apps, you know, and maybe this is something that we get into later too, but like of all the dating apps, are there like an app? Is there like an app that you prefer?
So I think I'm on like 8 different dating apps right now. And I want to say that like the reason why is because I prefer each one for different reasons. So I feel like I have to be on different ones because Tinder, for example, that's an app where pretty much everyone is on that. Like every guy, whether he's married, single, in a situationship. And I just found out about the whole like E&M thing. I actually had a friend that asked me, she's like, what is E&M? Yeah. And I was like, that, like these terms, like it's basically like you're cheating on your, like, I don't know if they are cheating on their wives or like, I don't know whether it's consensual or not, or like these people are not like polygamy used to be like this thing frowned upon. And now it's just like, okay, you just write E&M and like all of a sudden, like, I'm like, you don't know. Like I talked to a guy who I didn't know he was E&M. I found out afterwards. And then it turned out like, he was just cheating on his wife. His wife had no idea he was on the dating app. And it was just like, okay, like now I guess they're disclosing it, but like the wife still might not know about it.
Exactly.
So it's just like, I say Tinder is like the best if you want to find someone who's going to respond right away. But the thing is, it is such a hookup app that you still have to like weed through it and try to find someone who's like more serious.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if I wanted a hookup, I would just walk into a bar and I'd be like, hey, who wants to come home with me? Like, I don't need to be on Tinder for that. Like, if I just like announce myself in a bar, pretty sure I could get like someone like, oh, there's horny guys on a Saturday night at 2 a.m. There's enough horny guys to be like, yeah. And at least you don't have to deal with a catfish. Like you see what they look like. Absolutely. Versus like Tinder. I'm like, if I wanted to hook up, I wouldn't use Tinder because half the time they don't look anything like how they do on the apps. So I'm like, guys don't seem to realize that I don't need like girls, for the most part, don't need to be on Tinder for that reason.
Right.
So, and I always thought it was a hookup app, but then I found out actually that my brother met his wife on there, and I was like shocked. So, I think Tinder like is the app if you want to like, if you know like okay, there's gonna be the best selection on there. It's just so much work. And I've gotten like the most dates on there than any other app. So I say like if you're looking for a date, I think Tinder is the most successful. Because guys are just so responsive on there. Hinge, I've only gotten like 1 or 2 dates from there. And I've been on there for years. Because a lot of the times, like, and it's weird because like that one is a more intentional like one where it's not like the swiping left and right. Like they actually have to like heart like your picture or your comment and like leave a comment if they want to. Yeah. So that one, it's like, okay, they're not just accidental swiping. Because like a lot of the times, guys will just be so fast with it, and girls probably do the same thing where it's like they're going so quickly that like they'll unmatch you right away. They'll be like, oh, I didn't mean to match with her.
Right.
So, because Hinge is so intentional, but at the same time, like I'll be like 3 sentences in and then I'll get unmatched and I'll be like so confused. I'm like, it happens the most to me on Hinge than any other app, but like I love the idea of it. Like I love that it's more intentional.
Yeah.
And so I'm also on Bumble, which Bumble is really weird because you have like 24 hours to respond to somebody. And a lot of people are not on the app that much. So a lot of the matches will like expire.
Yeah.
So I hate that. And like, it was a great idea, I think, to make the woman initiate. But then I found out like guys like kind of look down on girls that initiate. And like I've even had this conversation with some of like my male friends or like dates I've been on where they're like, yeah, I don't like it when a girl like starts a conversation.
What?
But then why are you on Bumble?
I love it when the girl starts the conversation.
Like they're just like, yeah, I want to be the one who initiates. And I was like, but you're on Bumble and that's like the intention of it. So
yeah.
And it's just like I like realized like on Hinge and that you're not like as a female, you're always set like even my female friends, they're always like, don't ever like a guy on Hinge. Like, don't ever like wait for him to like it. And it's just like, okay, like, but then I'm sitting around like not getting as much. Yeah, not necessarily getting enough likes. So I just also started Facebook dating.
Yeah. What is that like? I've heard
hated
horror stories about that.
It actually has not been that bad. I think the only horror story that I have is that for some reason I'll get people in Canada and Mexico. And I'm just like, am I supposed to like use my passport? Like, I don't know like if they're requiring passports for Canada and Mexico now, but like, am I supposed to use my passport every time I go on a date? Like that just to me seems like excessive to like have to cross like a border and deal with border control every single time I want to go on a date with you. And I'm like, this guy's like, well, we can have virtual dates. And I'm like, it's not the same.
It's not the same.
So I think the only thing I like about Facebook dating is that it's the only app that's truly free. Like you can see every single person that likes you versus like every other app. Like they make you like, they'll be like, you could upgrade to $20 and see all the likes. And I'm like, as a female, you shouldn't have to. Like, but Facebook dating is good because like, it's good and bad, I guess, because I see all the guys that like me, but it can be really overwhelming because I might get like 100 a day. And I'm like, then I have to go through and like choose. And a lot of these people are not making good profiles. And I'm just like, which way do I go? They could be cute. I'm like, sometimes we'll get like the angles where it's like, okay, like they're not doing like necessarily like the full frontal view. They're getting like angles, and guys will do that to make themselves like look hotter. Cause they're like, if you get the right angle, you look hot. Like,
right.
But sometimes if you see them straight on, you're like, yeah, no. Or like they're not doing the full body, and it's just like, or like they're covering up and you're just like, I want to see what this person, like I'm vain. Like I want to see what this person actually looks like.
Exactly. Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, so I was going to ask like, because whenever we have a guest on the audience, sometimes like they'll ask like, hey, like what's the current status of the guest? So it's safe to assume that you're single because you're out here trying to, okay.
Unfortunately, I've been single for way too long.
We're gonna manifest like a babe before the end of 2025.
Yeah.
And so so you're currently based in LA. So like, did you grow up here? Like, tell us all about it. Like when did you end up here if you're not from LA?
Yeah. So I grew up in Boston. I always have like mixed feelings about Boston because I mean obviously it's cold and yeah, it's a fun city, but I was born and lived like outside the city, so I wasn't really exposed to city life that much until I really came to LA. Came out here for college, so I've been here for a bit, and then I just stayed because I loved it here, and like it's such a great vibe. Like the people are interesting, good and bad. Like I've had great people I've met, and I've had horrible people, but like I think sometimes it's the horrible people that make life like more interesting and give you those stories. And And it's just like you meet so many, like for me at least, I meet so many people on like a constant basis. Like I could not imagine living in like a small town where it's like the same 10 people and like actually match with somebody on Facebook dating who like lived in Montana. And he's like, it's like, yeah, like I just like, I only meet like, you know, a few people. That's why I'm on here. But I'm like, I was like, are you planning on coming to LA? He's like, no, can you come to Montana? I'm like, I'm good. Like, I have no desire to do that. I'm like, I guess that could be like a Hallmark romance, but I'm like, the Hallmark romance would be me going there, meeting you, and then bringing you back here.
Exactly.
So I'm
right.
like, I'm
exactly.
not moving there.
Right. Big city girl goes to small remote town, and then like they have a fling, and they move back to the big city. Exactly.
Yeah, that's the Hallmark romance I want. I am not the city girl that's going to move to the small town and stay in the small town. I'm going to be the one who reforms the small town boy and then makes him want to come here. But I was like, this is a lot of work for me. So I unmatched him. I felt bad, but.
Yeah. So I'm guessing even just like earlier we were talking just about, you know, dating in LA. So from your purview, what would you say is your thoughts about dating in LA?
I mean, I've always heard that LA and New York are just the worst places. Everyone I'm vain, I'm shallow. But so is everyone else.
Absolutely.
And I thought I was vain and shallow. And then I found out that like in comparison to everyone else, like I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
Like probably if you put me in a small town, like everyone would be like, that girl, she is so vain and shallow. But like in comparison to the people I met, I'm like, oh my God, I guess I'm not. Like everyone here is just kind of full of themselves. Like they are all like trying to put themselves first. Like there's no compromise. Like guys are so set about like, you got to meet here at this time. And like, they won't adjust. Like they'll hit you up and like, are you free tonight? No, I'm not free tonight. Okay. Like then I'm just going to unmatch you. Like, and it's just like.
Can't even ask you out on a date.
Yeah. Like they're just like, okay, when are you free? And I'm like, I'm free in 2 nights. And I'm like, oh no, that's too long from now. Like I can't wait 2 nights. Like I got to get my needs met tonight. So
men do better.
It's so hard because I feel, and I had a conversation. I have a good friend. She lives in Vegas. She lived in she lived in LA first. And then she was telling me about her experience dating in LA versus Vegas. And so she said to me, she's like, yeah, like I gave up on dating in LA because she's like, guys here, like you're lucky if they buy you a drink. And like, you're lucky if that happens. She's like, in Vegas, like guys will take you to a nice dinner. Like they'll make sure you get home. Like they'll order you an Uber. Like they'll take care of you. Like, for me, it's like not the last day, but a date that I went on. Like instead, like the guy didn't check up on me. He's just like, "You good?" And I was like, "Yeah," but like, you couldn't even be like, "Oh, like had a great time, like tonight. Like I'd love to see you again." Like
right, no
like,
follow up.
Yeah, no
text.
follow up. He's just like, "You good?" Like. You safe? And I'm just like, and I always like have my
This is why the bar is so low.
Yeah. No, the bar, like the thing is like, I think a lot of people put up with that, like in LA, because everyone is just kind of used to it. So like the bar just gets lower and lower. And like when I first started dating, like guys would take me to dinner and I'm like, I'm lucky now if I can get coffee.
Right.
And I actually have a funny story about that. So guys are definitely getting cheaper and cheaper with dates. And so there's this guy that hit me up about going on a hiking date. And I was like, that could be fun. That could be fun. So I was like, okay, yeah, we get to be in nature. I mean, I guess I've kind of felt conflicted because I was like, well, what if he takes me to a place that like
some remote,
he's gonna like kill me?
Right. I had thought about that. I was like, wait a minute.
So I was like, I have to make sure that it's like a place that I'm familiar with, that like the trail is like we were gonna go to Runyon like on a Saturday morning where a lot of people were at. So I'm like, okay, Runyon's a safe place because there's so many people there. I'm like, nothing's gonna happen. I know the trail. Of course, I'm gonna bring pepper spray just in case. But so, anyways, it rained that day, and so he hits me up and he's like, "Do you still want to go hiking?" And I was like, "I don't want to go in the rain. Like that's like." Right, I know fair. I'm going to slip and fall.
Right.
And so he's like, well, we could go to the gym And I was like, do you have a buddy pass or like a guest pass or whatever it's called? I don't have a gym membership, so I don't know. But usually like a lot of my friends who have gym memberships, like they can bring like a guest. So I asked him and I was like, do you have a guest pass? And he's like, yes. So we get to the gym and then we go up to the desk and I thought that I was taken care of. But as it turns out, he's like, actually, it's going to be $25. Do you mind spotting that?
Oh my
and I was like, you told me you had a guest pass.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't have come here if I had known that. And so he's like, oh, I do have a guest pass, but you have to pay $25. And it was a 24-hour fitness, like not even a good 24-hour fitness, the very, very basic one where half the machines were broken.
Oh, yeah, like those generic, like franchise.
Like,
yeah.
He wants me to pay $20. Like I could get like an actual like good.
That's the cost of the membership there.
Yeah, like it was only $20 a month for the membership. And I was like, you want me to pay $25 for the day at this gym? And I was like literally about to leave. Like I'm walking out of this date. And so he's like, he's trying to stop me. He's like, this one time, like, I'll spot you. And the way that, like, everyone was just kind of looking at this point. Like, I don't know if they really were, but in my mind they were. And like the person working at the desk was for sure looking at this. Cause like, this was a pretty loud conversation. Like it was a pretty empty gym because it was a super shitty gym. And so I was like super embarrassed by this. I was like, this is a really weird, like I wanted to leave, but like once he paid that $25, I was like, okay, now I'm stuck here.
Right.
And I was like, you could have bought me like a lunch for less than that. Like we could have gone to like a Panera Bread and like would have been like $10. You could have gotten me a coffee for like $5.
Right.
But you were trying to be cheap and like make me pay the $25 so that and even if we got coffee, I mean, I still could have covered that myself. So I'm like, it was just so weird, like the cheapness that like he's trying to do this like gym date to be cheap. And I was just like, but it's not because it ended up costing him more than a lunch or dinner would have cost.
Yeah.
So it was just so weird. And I was like, oh my God, the bar is already so low for this.
Also, you know what? Like the other fuck up is like the gym couldn't even give you like a free day pass because most gyms do that.
They give you
exactly.
And I would have been like, I think I had actually said to him, I was like, I could like sign up for like, do a tour or something because I'm sure this gym wants me to join. It's not like a hopping gym.
Right.
Like, and he's like, oh no, like he didn't want to have to deal with that. He just wanted to go straight to the date. Like he didn't want to have to deal with like them trying to sell me on a membership and stuff. Cause I think I did offer that. And he's just like, no, it's like, it's fine. I'll cover it. And I was like, okay, like we could have left and gone somewhere better. Like literally half the machines there were broken. So it was not a good gym experience.
Oh my goodness. Unhinged on the gym. Call the gym out. I'm just kidding. Oh my goodness. But I have to know which gym offline though. Like
no, it was just a 24-hour fitness.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Like not the greatest. Like I think 24-hour fitness, they have like different levels.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if that's LA Fitness or 20, but they have like super gyms, regular gyms. It was definitely like
one of those.
the lower ones.
Oh goodness.
But I think for sure like the membership
24-hour fitness express.
I know, but like the membership's probably only like $15, $20. Like it's super
Right.
cheap. Like there was not much going on at this gym.
Mm-hmm.
Like
yeah.
it was so like it was the most basic gym I've been to in a while.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry you had to deal with that. So you've gone on many dates. You've had many different dating experiences. Are there any other experiences that just like stood out to you or one that was just like, whew, never this again?
I mean, 90% of my dates are bad. But there's some that are worse than others. Like there's some that are worse than others.
Oh no. Okay, I definitely have to know. Like give us any of those stories that you feel comfortable sharing with.
So there was this one guy, like, when you're talking online, like it's so different talking online with somebody than it is in person. Like his personality in person was just so different than it was online. We get to this bar and it's a bar that I've been to like multiple times because it's not far from my home. And the whole we get there, we go to order drinks and there were these two attractive girls that are sitting there. he gives me my drink. And then he just starts talking to them, but like very flirtatiously. And he's like basically hitting on them, telling them like
while he's on a date with you?
While he's on a date. There's a first date. Like, never met this guy before. And then he's just basically hitting on these girls, like telling them how attractive they are, like asking if they're married or in relationships. And I'm just like standing there super awkwardly. And everyone like that I talked to is like, well, you should have left at that point. And I probably should have, but I at least, in my mind, I'm like, I got to finish this drink. I'm not going to like leave without finishing a drink. So anyways, he flirts with them a bit. I finish my drink. He walks over to another group of girls and starts chatting with them. I have no idea like what he said. I mean, it looked like he was hitting on them because he started buying them drinks. And I'm just standing there like with the, and so anyways, these two girls, like he saw, the two of those girls saw him and me come in together. So they were like asking,
even worse on them too.
Yeah. So they were like, they're like, oh, like, how do you know him? And I'm like, oh, yeah, we met on an online dating site. And they're like, but he just like, he left you. And I was like, yeah, like, this is super weird. I'm probably going to leave. But then they started talking to me and like, they were so sweet and like so nice. And like, I just like, you know, we had a great conversation. And I think had those girls like not talked to me, I would have left at that point. But then he comes back and he starts like flirting again with like the two girls, kind of ignores that I'm there. But like, anyways, he's like, you guys all want more drinks. And then he bought the three of us like more drinks. So then we're drinking the drinks. He goes back over to the other group, starts flirting with them and buys them drinks. And the whole night he's kind of going back and forth. And I was like, should I leave? But I'm getting all these free drinks and I'm talking to these girls who are super sweet. And I'm like, at the end of the night, I actually kind of came out of it because I got free drinks and I like met these two amazing girls. And and I wish I got their Instagram. Sadly, I didn't, but I keep going back to that bar in hopes that I see them again, but I haven't. And he hit me up the next day. Like he wasn't like, did you get home safe? He didn't give a shit about that. But he's all like, oh, where are we going to go for our second date? And I was like, yeah, there's not going to be a second date. And he's like, will you please give me another chance? Like I was, you know, I just got so drunk and like, I'm normally not like that. I'm like, you just gave me your red flag, like on the first date. Like you saved me the time of having to go out with you again. Like if you're like this on a first date, I can only imagine like what you're like when like, cause the first date, the guy's supposed to be all like winning me over, like not the opposite. Cause if you really want there to be more dates, you'd be like showing me your best self, not your worst self. Like the worst self comes out later on. So I'm like, is there like an even worse self than this? Like, I don't even want to see that. Like if you're already hitting on girls in front of me, like, I know you would be like, I know if we were in a relationship, you'd be cheating on me. Like I don't need to go on multiple dates with you to see that. So that for me was like definitely the weirdest first date I've been on. Yeah. But also most memorable. And like, I mean, everybody's like, well, why didn't you leave? And I was like, free drinks and two girls that I was chatting with. So that was, I think, I mean, I've had other bad dates, but I think that was probably the worst because I think that was the very only one where I had a guy like literally hit on other girls in front of me. Like, I don't know if they were trying to make me, or if he was trying to make me jealous. Like, I don't know if that's like, if guys think that girls like that, but I was like, you're not making me jealous. You're just showing me that you're a horrible person.
Right. Yeah. Oh, goodness. I hope that guy never reached out anytime after that. He's not like reaching out.
I blocked him. Good. So, I was like instant block and like I shared his number and photos with some other people because I'm like, I hope that he doesn't do this to anyone I know at least. So.
Right. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Trying to improve your skincare game? Guess what? I got a little something for you. You can improve the health of your skincare with the Vogue approved. Yes, you heard that right. Vogue as in Vogue magazines, the models. Yes, that Vogue. The Vogue approved beauty product, herbal face food, the most potent anti-aging, multi-correction skincare product on the market. Yes. So hit that link in the show notes or video description and use our code SPOOK SPHFF to get 20% off at checkout. Visit herbalfacefood.com to get started. That's herbalfacefood.com. All right. And use code S as in Sam, P as in pineapple, H as in Henry, F as in Frank, F as in Frank to get 20% off at checkout. That's SPHFF to get 20% off. All right. herbalfacefood.com. Okay. Y'all got the hookup. So let them know that Situaseans podcast sent you. All right. Offline, you had mentioned Ghost Becomes Zombies. I have no idea what that is. Is that a horror film or tell me all about this Ghost Becomes Zombies?
So you're familiar with ghosting, right?
Yeah.
Where like, or guys or girls or whoever you're into, like they just stop contacting you. And like maybe you contacted them like 3 times. You look at your text thread and you're like, okay, like they obviously don't want to talk to me.
Yeah.
So it was actually like around the holidays where all these guys that I had like months had gone by and I'm like, I barely remembered them. And like, they had already unmatched me. They had unfollowed me on social media. Like there was no other form of communication. Like they weren't watching my stories. I'm like, where is this coming from? All of a sudden, like ghosting to zombie apparently means like, ghosts are dead and your zombies are like undead. So it's like you're coming back from the undead. And I had to actually look this up because I had no idea what was going on. I was like, why are all these guys that like haven't spoken to in months? Or like we were supposed to go on a date and they ghosted me that day. And I'm like, all of a sudden, there was one guy, like I hadn't talked to him since Halloween. And we were supposed to go on a date that week, the Halloween weekend. I had texted him that Sunday morning, no response. Oh, no. And like, I was all cute, like looked good. And like, you know, like I was working that day and I was like, okay, I'm going to make sure I look extra good because I'm going on a date after work. And so I texted him that morning, never heard anything. And the next morning, he like unfollowed me from social media, and I'm just like,
no.
I'm like, okay, this is weird. And then right before Christmas, I guess he was like, maybe the holidays just made him really horny, but he reached out to me and he apologized. And I was like, okay, this is really weird that he's like actually apologizing because I would never think that a guy would apologize unless like they're trying to get my pants, but he's never met me in real life. So I'm like, and we also like don't live anywhere near, like he lives like by like San Diego, like Orange County area, like South Orange County, like kind of like the border of Orange County and San Diego. And I'm in LA. So we're a good 2 hours from each other. So he can't just be like, hey, you up? And right. I'm not going to drive 2 hours. He's not going to drive 2 hours. Like he could just easily be on Tinder and try to find a girl that way if he's that horny. Or like try to find someone else he knows who's more in his vicinity. Right. So it seems really weird that he like reached out to me, but then he never like, he reached out a couple other times, but he never really said anything. So I'm like, I'm so confused. Like, what is it that you want from me? Because like you're playing this game, like you're ghosting me, you're unghosting me, you're zombieing me, you're going back to a ghost and then you're becoming a zombie again. And it's this flip-flop thing. And that was so weird. And then right, like I think it was like the beginning of January. So there's this thing called like National like Online Dating Day that happens the 1st January. Where, and I wasn't sure if this was a real thing or if like, because I was getting all these like notifications from like Tinder Bundle, like Coffee Meets Bagels, Hinge, where they're like, it's online dating Sunday or whatever it is. Like it's a national holiday and like this is the perfect time to make sure your profile looks good because there's going to be a spike in user activity because it's after the holidays. Everyone's made their New Year's resolution. Everybody wants a date for Valentine's Day. And then sure enough, like that same week, I hadn't been on Snapchat in like months. And so I reinstalled it because my friend had sent me a snap. So I was only going on there to see like the snap that she told me she sent me. And I'm like, not a Snapchat person, so I'm not that super familiar with it. I log on and all these guys that I had gone on dates with, like all through last year, had all added me.
Oh, because they had like your number. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess like it was like in their contacts and I'm like so confused. And so I'm just like, I'm going to see what this is all about. So I made a snap and it was like a super cute snap of like a photo and I like edited it to make it look even hotter. And I'm like, I'm going to fuck with these guys and see like what they want from me. Sure enough, like they all like snapped me right back. So I was like, this is really weird because a lot of these guys I only went on one date with and they never contacted me after. And then they zombied me and were snapping me like a year later. But like there was I even like looked on my phone too. And like, I was like, yeah, they never even like messaged me after the date to be like, I had a great time or like, are you good?
Yeah.
Or like even the ones that said, are you good? Like no response after that. And then all of a sudden I'm getting all these like they're chatting with me, they're snapping me. One of them asked me to go on vacation with him to Mexico. And I'm like, we went on one date and you didn't even text me after the date. And now you're asking me to go to Mexico with you. I'm like, this is really weird. And so the zombieing thing, just like it all happened all at once. And it was so overwhelming because I'm like, it was like 10 different guys like within the same week that zombied me. And I'm just like, I don't even remember who half these guys are. I went on so many dates last year. And I'm just trying to like, they unmatched me on I'm like, which dating app was it? I'm going through every single dating app, seeing like, maybe they didn't unmatch me. Maybe there's a conversation there. And I could not for the life of me figure it out. Yeah. And so I didn't want to be looking at their stories because I'm like, yeah, I'm not that person. But I was just trying to figure out based on like their tiny little profile photo or like what their name was or what the avatar or whatever. And I'm like, who is this person? But I'm just kind of going along with it. But it was so weird. Like I'm like, well, you never hit me up after the date. And then all of a sudden, like you add me on social media and it's so bizarre.
That is hilarious. Oh my goodness. And so, so as an actress and like a dancer and a writer, and you say that like you're an unprofessional comedian. I want to know what is that? What is an unprofessional comedian?
So I remember somebody asked me that and I was like, okay, it was supposed to be a double entendre when I said it, like unprofessional because I don't get paid. And then the other one was like, oh, well, I'm kind of crude and raunchy. And everyone I've told that like, well, all comedians are. But I'm like, I think for me, because I've studied improv and like I've taken classes at UCB and like for me, comedy there's so much structure to it. But I think my comedy, like, and that's why I'm like, even in class, like sometimes I'll like go off cue or like, I love Harold's, but like sometimes I'm like, okay, there's so much like rigidness in comedy. And like, I feel like a lot of like my comedy comes from the fact that it's not rigid or like, it's not something that you would like necessarily hear somebody say or like people like people think, oh, like, oh, she's like cute and sweet. And then like something comes out and like, it feels out of character. So I think for me, it's just like, I've learned comedy, but like my comedy, I feel like it's a little different from like how I feel like comedy's taught. But like, I feel like I've always kind of been that way. Like even though I've taken like comedy classes, I'm like, I think that there's so much like organic comedy that just kind of comes out and like, it's really your life stories and stuff. And I feel like my life stories have been kind of interesting and like, my comedy has definitely evolved over the years. And sometimes I'll just kind of say stuff like not like I'll say stuff like seriously, like not meaning for it to be funny. And like, it'll come off funny and everyone will start laughing. And I'm just like, it was not intended to be funny. And so it's just like, and it's, I don't know. Okay. It's hard to describe because I remember my grandma before she passed away, she's like, in our family, like people don't necessarily always understand like our comedy. It's just like like, she's like, we're funny, but people don't always get it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. And have you speaking of like even just being a writer, have you ever thought about like writing a book as well on based off your life and your dating life? That would be like an entertaining book to say the least.
Yeah. I've written kind of like blogs and stuff that I was like, I should make this into a book because I've kind of written some of my own experiences in blogs. And some people would like read my blogs and like, you should make this into a book. And I was like, maybe one day I will. But I do think like, you know, I've written and I'm actually like in the process of writing like a web series based on some of my like experiences with roommates that I've had, because I've had some crazy roommate stories, not just crazy dating stories, but crazy roommate stories that are probably just as interesting as the dating stories. I'm like, okay, maybe like it'll be like an anthology where I start with roommates and then from there it goes to like dating, like each episode is a different roommate that I've had or based off of a different roommate. So I'm like, oh, like technically I could do it as an anthology and like the second season would be like a different date I went on because I feel like I've had so much craziness happen in my life. And everyone has always said to me, they're like, how do you have so much, like, how do you like attract these types of people? And I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I feel like I'm a weird magnet where I just attract weird, crazy people. Cause I'm like, I could go on for ages about all the crazy dates I've been on. Like even recently in like the past week, I'm just like, I'll tell people and like people think I'm making it up. I'm like, no, I need to start recording that. Like, I don't want to do that without someone's consent, but like, I'm like, I swear, like this is real. It's actually happening.
So like with my audience, and I've shared like my dating journey, like with the audience here. And like, they know that like I've gone on like 180 dates in like the maybe 4 years that I was on dating apps and stuff like that. Up until like this year, I've been kind of just focusing more on just, you know, just arts and all that stuff. But anyway, like, would you say you've gone on like hundreds of dates? Because it sounds like you've gone on a lot of dates.
Last summer, I feel like I was probably doing like maybe 4 or 5 a week.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was like, if you add all those up and you think about how many, like there's 365. Right. I think maybe last year was 366 days.
Yeah.
So I'm like probably more than 100 last year because like if I was going on a date almost every, like for like 3 months, like I was almost every single night I was going on a date.
Oh my goodness.
And I would sometimes like, well, people were calling me a serial dater. And it was funny because I was telling people the amount of dates that I went on. And there was one day that I had like 3 or 4 dates in a row. The first date I went on, so the guy was a guitarist and he's like, do you know any drummers? Because I need a drummer in our band. You know, don't know how difficult it is to find a drummer. The very next day I went on a date with a drummer and he's looking for a band. And I was like, do I tell him like just the night before I went on a date with a guitarist and he's looking for a drummer? I'm like, am I supposed to like match these two together?
I think so.
It didn't work with me and those 2 guys, but like maybe it could have worked with the 2 of them. I don't know. Like
that is hilarious.
I felt so bad, but like there was definitely times when I'm like things would start blending together and I would just be like, I can't remember. Like week by week, I was like, wait, like who did I go? Like, what was the guy? Like, what did he say? And I would try to remember because like a lot of the dates just felt like the guy just felt so similar. And it just felt like, okay, I feel like I'm in Groundhog's Day and it's just like over and over and over again, like the same types of people, but like 1 or 2 things would be different. Cause like those guys were like almost the same guy. Yeah. And I'm like, what was different about them? Like maybe their looks were like a little, like one was a little bit taller, but like their physique was very similar. And it was just like, it was so hard to differentiate between each date that I went on. That and it's just like kind of all blurred together. And then like a lot of these guys are just like different variations of each other.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm hoping that you're getting closer to finding like your match though.
I hope so. I mean, I know the right person is out there, and I'm just like, I feel like I've become a serial dater, and it's definitely taking up too much time in my life where I'm just having to go on a date to try, like, I feel like I'm the Bachelorette, but with way too many contestants. And I'm just like, who do I give the rose to? I just haven't found that person yet. But hopefully. But like the amount of dates that you have to go on to just like, and because you try to weed people out beforehand, but like people are so fake online. Yeah. Like they've gotten so used to like creating this like fake persona. Yeah. And they had like, they're just like, it's basically an avatar that you're interacting with. Right. And it's just like, it's sometimes just really hard to and even on like Zoom calls, if you try to do that, like they have ways of like altering themselves. Like there's so much AI within like Zoom calls and voice calls that like sometimes they're using that. And it's like, okay, like until I've actually met them face to face, like I just don't know like how they're actually going to behave and what they look like and all that stuff. So it's like, you spend so much time like going on dates, and as a female, you're like, you know, having to look good every time. Like I hate when people hit me up that morning if we didn't have a date all scheduled for like 2 or 3 days in advance. So like, hey, you free tonight? I mean, if I already look good, then sure, I'm not going to waste that. But like for me to have to like go home, like get ready, if I'm like not in that like mind space of going out, like that is so hard. And it's just like the whole like going on a date, like people don't understand. Like I still, like, even if I'm going on a date every night, like I still get butterflies in my stomach. Like I still get nervous. I'm like, is this person going to kill me? Is this person going to be normal? Like a lot of times or spending the whole time trying to figure out how to get to my home. Right. And I'm just like, I went on a date recently a couple of weeks ago. And the whole time this guy is like, he's like, we're going back to your place, right? And I'm like, I literally just met you. And then he just kept pushing and pushing. And then he was coming from like over an hour away, and he's trying to guilt me, being like, you know, like I came from so far away, I'm too tired. Oh my God. And so I said to him, I was
guy. Like, wow, I was like, fuck you.
I was like, you can get a hotel room. Right. And so he's like, he started looking up hotels. And so he's like, well, what do you think about this hotel? I'm like, well, you're staying there, whatever you feel comfortable with. He's like, well, you're going to stay there too. And I was like, God, no, I just met you. And then he's like, well, what do you think is going to happen? And I was like, whatever you think is going to happen, that's not going to happen. And then he's like, oh, I'm a good Christian boy. And I'm like, well, regular Christian or Republican Christian? Because like, there's a difference.
That's true. Yeah. That is true.
So that was like how the date ended. I was just like, yeah, you got to go. Like, I'm going home. I'm tired. You can do whatever you want. Like, I don't really care. But the date ends now.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Also, I was doing the math in my head. So if it's 52, 53 weeks in a year, 5 days on average per week, that's like 250 dates out of like the year.
I mean, I think there was like I took most of December off. I did try to date when I was because I went on the East Coast and I went on like Tinder and Bumble. I chatted with some people on there. Like I didn't really end up meeting them, but I was like curious to see like what is the difference between like here in Boston, but like I've gotten hit on in bars in Boston, and like a lot of the guys, even though we weren't on a date, like a lot of the guys are the same. And like one guy was married, and he's like, "Yeah, my wife's okay with it." And I was like,
"No, she ain't.
She's not. I promise you, she is not okay with it."
The guy says my wife is okay with it. 9 times out of 10, his wife is not okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like,
because she would have been there with him.
I know exactly. There would have been like
a
swingers thing situation going on, or she would have at least been there to film it. Like I don't know, but
exactly. If you want to test that out, just have the guy FaceTime his wife. And if the guy's nervous, oh, I can't FaceTime her, she's busy, you call him in a lie.
Yeah, exactly.
As far as just like, dating like actors or other people kind of in the same space or in the field as you would not recommend?
So I remember years ago, and I have a funny story with this. I went on OkCupid and I met this guy, and he lied about what he did for a profession. He told me he worked in tech. Tech meant apparently he worked at like a Best Buy or like Apple or something. Like I thought he meant that he coded. Like that's what I thought.
We're thinking Silicon Valley, but he's like Apple, but he's like Apple Store, like not Apple.
Yeah, like that was it. Like he's at like the stores, like maybe like showing demos of the iPhones to people, getting them to buy it.
Not
like,
Apple headquarters, Apple Store.
Yeah, like he was like in his 20s and he's working with a bunch of like 18-year-olds and he calls that like a tech job. But anyways, like I thought he actually worked in tech. Like he never said anything about like being in the industry and like I'm talking about it and he's asking me all these questions as if he had no idea. And then I ran into him when I was working. Like I was on set and I like ran into him and he like knew other people there. So it was like, okay, like obviously you do this. You don't work in tech. And so he introduced me to people as his ex.
Oh,
and I was like, we went on one date.
One fucking date.
Like one date. And he was like, I think he said, he didn't say ex, but he was like, oh yeah, I used to date her. Something like that. That implied that like we actually dated. But I'm like, one date like that.
Yeah.
And he had asked me out again. And I said, no, like we don't have, like, I'm not like, I don't have chemistry or connection with you, whatever. Because I didn't. Like I was just like, I really wasn't that into him. And he definitely photoshopped his photos too at the time. So I was just like, okay, I'm over this.
Oh no.
And then I find out he's a liar. And, and so I was just like, after that, and then he's telling people like, he basically made stuff up about like him and me. Cause like he's high-fiving all these people. Like I can see he's talking about me. Like, and the fact that like, I think I saw him like a year later with his girlfriend and like, he's basically telling that his girlfriend, like bragging about how he used to date me to her. And I was like, we did not date. Like we went on one date.
If you've been seeing somebody for less than a month, you cannot claim that you used to date.
Like one date. That's like even less than a week.
Right. Exactly.
Not even that. Because like we went on a date pretty quickly after we started talking. Because like I'm not a huge fan of like chatting indefinitely with people. So we met up pretty quickly. So, but yeah, it was like, he was a nice guy, but like after that, I'm just like, okay, so if I date somebody in the industry and he actually like knows like, okay, how I kiss, like how I have sex, like all that stuff, like, and he's not happy with it. And he actually has like dirt on me, like that could go so badly. This guy, like he doesn't know what I look like. Like he can't like really say anything that's truthful. So I just thought to myself, I'm like, okay, if I feel this uncomfortable with someone I've only been on one date with, like imagine if I actually dated somebody and they actually had like dirt on me and like we're in this situation where we're supposed to be working together. And it's just, I just didn't see it going well. And like, I have met people on projects, like we've dated, like in college, you know, like when you're in dance or theater school, I'm sure like half those guys were gay anyways. And we still dated each other because it was just a thing that we did. But like, that was fine.
Yeah,
but like, once you're in the real world, everything kind of changes. And it's just like, okay, when you're in a work environment, it's so much different than being in a school environment. So after that, I'm just like,
no artists.
I wouldn't say no, like never, but like I think it would just really depend. Like if I could see us as being competition or like, because these days, especially with acting, like a lot of stuff is becoming like non-gendered. And so I'm like, you could basically be competing, especially if you're like similar height, similar skin color, like you're like similar vibe, like you could be competing with your significant other. So it's like, I wouldn't say never, but I would just say like, I don't typically date actors for that reason. Like maybe a musician might be okay just because I'm not in that industry, but like dancer and actor, like I just feel like the communities for that, they're just so small. Like, even though everyone's trying to be that, like you run into a lot of the same people. Like when you go to like
It's a small
castings
world,
or screenings. Like a lot of people know each other. So
absolutely. No, I definitely feel you there. Are there like, certain types of productions that you like to be part of? So like whenever you're auditioning or taking on gigs, is it more so film? Is it theater? Like what does that look like?
I mean, I would love to do more theater. It's so time consuming and like the pay is just shit. Ideally I would love to do it. I love to do improv. Like I would love to perform that. Like that would be like an ideal situation. But I think like live performance, I love that the most just because you like feed off the energy of people. Like would love to have like a sitcom because you're kind of feeding off that energy of the audience. And like I grew up performing. I've been dancing forever. So I feel like the audience being there and getting like reactions from them, it's so different than like a camera being there. And you're like, the camera, it's an inanimate object and it's not giving me anything. And like, I don't know, like, am I doing, like, is what I'm saying funny because there's nobody laughing and like, you have your scene partner and like, maybe they'll be laughing, but they probably won't be, but it's just, or maybe somebody in the crew will be like laughing or something like accidentally, even though they're not supposed to be. But I don't know. I mean, I love live performance, but it's just always like with rehearsal schedule and stuff, like film is nice because it's usually like a shorter schedule. And like once you finish and you don't have to worry about like performances that can be extended and all that stuff. But I mean, I love comedy. So I'm like being able to do comedy on film, I think for me feels like more organic and natural than doing like drama. And like, I think that was something that I really struggled with too once I was like starting to do like film stuff was like drama on camera is so different than like theater where it's like, okay, you're so used to it being so over the top and it's like, okay, you got to pull this back. Yeah. And I think that's something that I really struggle with because I'm so used to like being over the top and like the director being like, tone it down. And I'm just like, I can't, like, this feels right.
Absolutely. Yes. Are there, as a writer, are there any like productions that you got to like write for or anything that really stood out that kind of really, it was like really a memorable experience for you?
I mean, when I first started out, I wrote some screenplays and I had a couple like big production companies look at it and got some good feedback, but they never ended up getting made. So that for me was like sad because I was like, okay, like I got excited that like there are big producers who read it and like liked it and said that like, oh, we have something similar, but like we'll keep this just in case. Or like trying to change things and just me not being okay with that. So I think at the end of the day, I was just like, I kind of like the idea of writing for myself because then I feel like I have more control over it. Cause like there was one big producer that tried to make what I wrote into like this crazy horror film. And I was just like, I'm not okay with this. Like, It's not even my story anymore. And I'm like, I don't want to be a sellout. Like I could be for the money. Yeah, the money's good. But and then, of course, maybe it gets you in the door. But at the same time, like, especially if it turns into something shitty and your name's attached to that, like, it's hard to, like, sometimes accept that. And so, I mean, I was young at the time. And, like, maybe now I would have made, like, a different decision. But I think that, like, I do want to stay true to myself and, like, my writing. Because writing is, like, for me, it's such a reflection of who I am. And, like, for someone to come in and like change that and be like, you're trying to change who I am. You're trying to change my life stories. And like, it just doesn't work.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Well, I'm glad that, like you're following your passion, you're following like your dream and you didn't sell out. And we're going to manifest it. Actually, one of my good friends started saying woman fest or womanifest. So I like that even better.
I like that. I haven't heard that before and I actually want to use that.
Yeah. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, can you do me a really quick favor? Can you please rate and review this podcast? Like hit that 5-star review because, and I do read all the reviews because this helps me know how this podcast is helping others and how, this podcast is serving you, because my job as a host is to serve you this podcast the way that you would prefer it to be. We got a good few submissions for the hinge or unhinge. Are you ready to do this and hop in and unpack these submissions?
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see it.
All right, let's do it. This first one says, my love language is female supremacy. I like this. Is this hinge or unhinged?
Unhinged.
Unhinged. I like this.
This feels kinky. This feels like 50 Shades of Grey right here. Because I've had a bunch of guys, and this is why I've actually started to dislike Bumble. Because a lot of guys were like, "Oh, are you a dom?" So in my mind, that comes off as sexual. They want you to dominate, and they have I'm not super familiar with all the kinky stuff. Yes, I've seen the 50 Shades of Grey. I shouldn't admit to it, but I've seen all of them, the trilogy.
Oh, I love the 50 Shades of Grey.
But I feel like it's the dominatrix, and they're trying to have you come in and do all those weird kinky stuff to them. And I'm just I don't know. I like the female empowerment, but this just sounds like you want me to take over the relationship. You want me to initiate, as a guy, you should be initiating and okay, is this a sugar mama situation? What is going on with that?
For sure. And see, I was reading it from women run the world, from that angle. So I was cool.
I mean, I guess it could be, but I feel
I guess it depends too. Yeah, no, you have a good point.
But a lot of these guys, they'll be like, I want you to dominate. I want you to tell me what to do. And I was like, this is weird. A relationship should either be 50-50 or I'm a little bit traditional. I want to be taken care of. The thing is females, we don't really need guys. Guys need us. We want guys, but we can survive without guys. But they need us, obviously. We are the ones, that we have your kids and cook and clean. Most guys can't do that. Not to say guys can't, but a lot of guys can't. Yeah. And expect to have a woman do all that stuff. And it's okay, but you're not pulling your weight. So
exactly. For sure. So this next one says, I want someone who is perfect. No, I don't. I'm looking for someone whose demons can dance with my demons. Let the dance begin. Is this hinged or unhinged?
I feel it's 50-50.
Yeah.
The is perfect. No, I don't. That's definitely a good part. There is no such, and I think I even have it on my thing. There's no real such thing as perfection, and kind of looking for people's, finding people's flaws and seeing that in a positive light. Cause we all have it. We're not perfect and don't expect that. But the whole demons can dance. Demons, what,
and I think they're just saying if we both have baggage, we're gonna let that baggage fly, and it's just gonna continue to just bounce off of each other until we figure it the fuck out. That's kind of how I read it.
I just think it's a poor choice in words. So if I see somebody that has demons, and I'm just okay, this is some kind of weird religious crap, spiritual. I don't know,
yeah.
Seance, what are we gonna do? A seance? Right. I'm just the way
got
that
the
you
Pentagon
phrase
in the
that,
back, right?
I'm if you just said what you said and you're more straightforward, then this whole metaphor shit, it comes off weird. Now that you said that, I get what you're saying, but I would have rather than been it's perfect. No, I don't. I'm looking for someone who's okay with messiness or has baggage or has shit going on, and we all have shit in our lives, and we're able to come together and like work through that.
Yeah.
And I think just like the way, like I want it to be hinged, but, and I feel like the first part works so well. Is perfect? No, I don't. Cause it's true. No one is perfect, and just be honest with who you are. Like don't try like, and that's such a difficult part of like the online dating thing is everybody tries to act like they're perfect. And it's like, and when you meet them, you're like, okay, you're not. Like, you're hiding behind this facade on your screen, acting like you're someone who's perfect versus just showing me who you really are. And so I do like the idea of that because, I mean, we all do have baggage. Like, we have life experience. We have bad and good things that happen to us. Like, we all have like green flags and red flags. I mean, who doesn't? And so to kind of accept that. But the way that they phrase that, I'm just the demons dance. I don't know.
It's a little off. Yeah.
It's like a weird, like, I don't know what it is, like witchcraft or something.
For sure. And this last one says, my therapist would say I am a good kisser.
Definitely unhinged.
Yeah.
No, it's so funny because I took psychology. And I remember, I'm a huge fan of therapy.
Yeah,
but,
same.
But I do remember my teacher, he said, never ever see a therapist that's called a psychotherapist. Because it's psycho, the racist. The rapist. Psycho, the rapist. And so I'm like, okay, like if you think therapist, the rapist, I'm like, why do they come up with that word?
Right.
And like I've had like some amazing therapists and I've had some horrible ones. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, there's definitely ones who I'm sure cross the line. Yeah. And I could definitely see like one of those therapists who's maybe like they're not a true therapist. Like they're like, especially with like psychotherapists, they don't actually have to have a degree. Like they could just basically print a degree, like print a piece of paper and be like, yeah, I'm a psychotherapist. Like there's no actual education that's required from that. So I was like, okay, I could see like, you know, you call your bartender your therapist or something. And like, you just make out with them. And like, I'm like, this is not something to brag about. And also don't brag about being a good kisser. Cause it's like the dentists that say like, we're the best dentist or like they're called like best dentist. I'm like, if you have that in your name, you're not. Yeah. Like if you're a good dentist or good whatever, you don't have to say it.
Let the actress speak.
Yeah. So if you have that on your like Hinge profile, chances are you're not a good kisser because if you were, you wouldn't have to brag about it.
That's true. Yeah. Unhinged. Unhinged for you bragging about it and unhinged on the person for kissing their therapist. And a therapist should have their license removed.
They should. They're probably a psychotherapist.
Right. Oh, goodness. Shout out to psychotherapists, though, because I've had a couple of on the show in the past. We love you, though. But the psychotherapists out there that are not qualified or whatever, or that are just bullshitting, yeah, stop that. Stop that. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much to the listeners for submitting those submissions. Those were fucking hilarious. We love it. Those were hinged. And so, yeah, if you want to get involved, definitely submit your submissions to the show. Go to situationspodcast.com/submit. And there you can submit that or submit your dating stories or anything that you want me and a guest to unpack, and we'll unpack it for you. Awesome. So, Jessica, thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so fun.
Yeah. Was there any last words that you want to leave our listeners with? Any words of wisdom, especially from a former serial dater or a current,
unfortunately. Hopefully, by the time this airs, it's not the case. But right now, it is the case. Hopefully, this will be a hot girl summer.
Yeah.
I'm at least hoping. But I mean, I would just say, be yourself no matter what. Don't feel like you have to change for anybody. Like, be okay with being single. Because I think, and that's what I've heard. Like, it hasn't happened to me personally, but other people I know it's happened to where they're like, oh yeah, like I'm happy with being single. And that's usually when the right person comes along. Hasn't happened for me. Hopefully it will. But I think just put yourself out there. Be okay with who you are. Don't feel this need to change. And like, if a guy asks you to sleep with him on the first date, just don't do it.
Right.
For all of us who are single, like, don't give in that easily, because then if you do it, that sets the bar even lower for the rest of us. So
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And can you share with our listeners where to find you if you want to share your Instagram or social media or website or anything, like any of your business, ventures? Like, definitely let us know.
yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at the Jessica Molly.
Awesome. So you just saw her Instagram just pop up on the screen. So go ahead and follow Jessica. And like if you're an actor out there, whatever, or director or filmmaker, or you're putting something together, reach out to Jessica. Like, connect, all that good stuff. So awesome. And so there are 3 ways that you can submit to the podcast. Again, you go to situationspodcast.com/submit. The second way, email the podcast, situationspod@gmail.com. Or the third way, call the hotline, 312-586-2664. It's an anonymous, hotline. So you just let it ring to voicemails, share your voicemail submission, and we'll air it on the show. So whether you're on a boat, a plane, a train, hell, you could be one of Jessica's past dates. You can take Situations podcast with you wherever you go. We're everywhere. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. We want some more subscribers over there. We're like at 5,000 subscribers. Help us get to 10,000. We're at the road to 10K. Let's get there. All right. And rate and review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify so that, it helps other people find the show. Awesome. And with that, I will see you all back here for the next episode in a couple of weeks. Woo!